I'm ready.
So, Maloreth's weapon.
I only know the very baseline of Maloreth's weapon. I don't remember the story.
The story is as follows.
It was a dark and stormy night.
We were all playing as a family at the pool table. The leather-covered pool table. We had...
Leatherette.
We had a mat with a bunch of squares on it in front of us, and Steve had to walk around
with
all of the
green
table.
Wet marker.
Vis-a-vis.
And draw on terrain. And he drew on the terrain one night for a cave, I believe.
Sounds right.
And as we walk into the cave, there's a... Was he a lich or was he just an undead guy?
It's so long ago,
a lich.
but Maloreth was the big bad. And he was like a necromancer or something? Maybe
Something
a
like
lich?
that.
I don't remember. It's
Maybe
been
a
while.
low-level lich because we were only like level 4 or 5 at the very most. But
he had a weapon that caused 10-year-old Tim and 26-ish-year-old John to giggle uncontrollably for at least 30 minutes.
It wasn't his weapon. It was the conversation you had when Tim went to loot the guy. Oh, I want to loot the guy. What kind of weapon does he have?
It's a bone staff. See, he started giggling right. Bone staff.
That punchline came later, though.
Oh, my bad. I ruined your story. You can edit this together later and make it all flow.
If I recall correctly, he said, I want to loot the guy. And you were like, okay, you find a tattered robe and not much else. And he was like, he didn't have a weapon? And you were like, well, I guess he had a weapon, but do you want to know what it is? And he was like, yeah, I want to know what it is. I was like, what do you think it is? And he was like, I don't know. You never said if he had like a wand or a sword or what. And you were like, it's a bone staff. And it was just masterful fucking comedic timing. And you had me right from the beginning, but Tim like still did not really understand.
Because he was like 10.
And he was like, a bone staff, like, what does it do? What kind of powers does it have? And like, he totally missed the joke at first. And then eventually he caught on. And that made it even funnier because he was 10 years old and it was a weenus.
Right. And Tim, when he starts laughing really hard, it becomes silent laughter.
The wheezing.
Right? His face is just like making all the right muscle movements for raucous laughter, but absolutely nothing is coming
All
out.
of your children do that, where we will laugh to the point of just mute. Just dying.
But then it grew to... Maloreth's weapon grew to epic proportions.
And I feel like when you told him what it did, you were thinking, like, you made jokes like, oh yeah, it makes like people stiff, like I think you went in this whole thing and like he's like, what?
There was definitely more to it than that I'm not for
But this would have been
whatever
like 11,
reason
12
remembering.
years ago.
But yeah, it was 11 or 12 years ago. And it is something that we think about and we don't know the whole story. We just know it's fucking hilarious.
The memories of laughing our asses off for it. But yeah, Maloreth's weapon is a bone staff, and Maloreth's weapon is actually a penis joke.
Yes.
The name itself is a penis joke.
This whole YouTube channel.
But hey, yeah.
Is a penis
joke. It's a penis joke.
And that's all it was. But it's a good joke. And it's one of those you have to be there. Like, if I try to explain it, it doesn't sound as funny as when we were there and dying of laughter. Because I feel like I may have spit out my drink a little bit when I was laughing so hard. Like, it was great.
Do you have any other good you had to be there stories from around the table?
Well, the problem is that good you had to be there stories means that they're not going to be very good because they weren't there.
Well, you could try.
I'm trying to think.
Any other?
I think the dolphin story is definitely a you had to be there story.
A lot of my shit.
A lot of things involving you.
Showing up at the table with pictures of my character and his animal companions, and they all have Nicolas Cage faces.
We have a lot of inside jokes in our games.
There was the I'm not a drug mule incident at your game.
There, I'd like to inspect the esophagus. When they were trying to say I'd like to inspect the sarcophagus, and Hannah, was it Hannah or Tim was like, I want to
was Hannah.
inspect the esophagus, and we all stopped, and she was like, wait. Like, it took her a minute. She was like, what did I say?
And that's what made it really weird, because Hannah is probably the academically smartest of your kids that doesn't involve conjugating verbs.
Right.
Like, she may be able to conjugate some verbs too, but I think Sarah's got her on that end of things. But Hannah is a more scientific kind of person. And
Yeah. But she just, like, completely, like, we had a poster up in our house. We still have it up. Of just, like, things that happened in that campaign. And it was, like, number of sing-alongs. And we sung along to 500 Miles.
Oh my God, I remember that. You still have that poster?
It's still up. It's exactly where it was.
just
We never took it
started-
down.
Every time there's something epic, we would go write it up on the board. That is
So we had, like-
brilliant. We should bring that back.
We should bring that back. Because that's one of my favorite things. Because, like, we didn't put a lot on there. But, like, when I walk by it and I see the little drawing of the mule. Or there was one, I think, about a nipple. Is that a nipple? I'd have to take a picture. I'll take a picture and tweet it so that you guys can see it. But it was like sing-alongs, 500, or was it 500 miles? Yeah, like just every time we did something so stupid, like somebody would yell out, "Put it on the board!"
there was also one time I remember I was trying to fool somebody, one of your NPCs that was going to attack us. It was a hobgoblin or something. And I was playing a Venara, and I was like trying not to fight it. And I was like, Dad, is that you? And then like we ended up having to fight it and everything. And then we were playing with our, at the time, probably 8-year-old daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And the very next enemy, she goes up to him and says, Dad, is that you?
Because our children get their sense of humor from you. That was a good campaign. Like, it was very short-lived, but it was, I think, peak, like, jiving of comedy. You know, like, where things just, like, it felt so joyous the whole time. Like,
Except for people arguing about whether it was the natty or the natties.
and boomers.
And boomers.
There was a large like, my mom and my half-brother arguing about boomers, but my mom doesn't know my half-brother well enough to realize that he's not the one to back down and let shit go. No. But yeah, he's not the kind, like, he doesn't care how mad you're getting. He's just gonna keep poking the bear. He thinks it's hilarious.
Right, he doesn't even have to believe what he's saying at that point.
He
It's
just
like,
thinks it's funny to
"Oh,
watch you
this
get
is
mad.
making you redder and redder.
Yeah, he loves that. It's his favorite thing to do. And I admire him severely for that. Because even I have a point where I'm like, all right, I should back off. Nope, not Tim. He's like, gas pedal all the way.
And your mom's kind of the same way.
Yes, they are. And it was a very interesting thing. And eventually as DM, I was like, okay, enough.
Sorry.
I know, I hit my mic early. I was like, sorry, Mike. That was a really good campaign, though. It really was. Not like the campaign, but just like the way we all jive together worked out really well.
Yeah, we were playing 3.5 then.
We were.
And this was very soon after we started back up. Like, you came to me and said, hey, Dad, you want to play D&D? And I hadn't played in years. I'm like, hold on a second. I went and grabbed this big box out of my closet. We got really old player handbooks and monster manuals and everything. I realized that it was now 3.5. Well, what I didn't realize when I went to, like, Books A Million to buy stuff was 4 had just come out. And so it was confusing. And so some of the, not realizing there was a difference, right? We were getting some 3.5 and some 4 stuff all mixed in. So we really probably played 3.75.
Yeah.
And then when we figured out Pathfinder was pretty much a open game license adaptation of 3.5, we started mixing in Pathfinder stuff too.
I think you should do that anyways, because Pathfinder's got some really cool stuff, and it drives really well. And it like a lot of the map packs and stuff that I've gotten have been Pathfinder because they're more cost effective.
I agree, but when you're mixing 3 different systems around, it's hard to figure out where you got the thing that you need to look up sometimes.
Right.
That's where Rule of Cool became very much prominent, was when we were mixing all these different things together between different campaigns. It was like, you know what, I don't want to look. Just do it. It's fine. I don't care.